I'm Caden Love.
And I'm Seema Love, his wife.
And we are Love and Lore, taking dark fantasy, light fantasy, and everything in between. Well, this week we are going to take something very in between and give it a little bit of spookiness because we are entering the Halloween season.
Yay!
And there's a tradition that Seema and I have done for a couple years, ever since we started dating, that we pick a Halloween book to read together. And so we initially started this off with Dracula. And this was an awesome book that we both love.
Real good. Mm-hmm.
And we both have a thing for vampires. I think we both really enjoy vampires. Mm-hmm. So we decided that we're going to do that in a completely other video. But we thought we'd preface that by talking about that. And now we're going to address the books that we think are ones that you need to add to your TBR for this Halloween season. So, Seema, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so like you know, Kate and I have a little bit different tastes in our books. I prefer some warm fuzzies in my books. So here are some softer Halloween books that I think you'll enjoy. And I'll start it with my favorite, which is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. This book has such a tasty, spooky flavor to it, and it has some deep thoughts too, so it's like a perfect balance of entertainment and some thoughtfulness and the spookiness. So I think everyone should give that one a try.
And I think that one's just a perfect fall season book. Honestly, I'm not a cozy fantasy person, but this one just gives you that warm feeling of nostalgia. And a lot of Gaiman's books can be good Halloween season books. Coraline, for example. But this one, if you haven't read it, highly recommend it. It's a pretty short read as well.
Yeah. Well, the next book is also by Neil Gaiman, and I also really enjoyed it, and it is The Graveyard Book. That one is a little bit less spooky and a little bit more of warm fuzzies and nostalgia, but because it kind of reminded me of the kind of books that I used to read as a kid. So it was a nice flashback into Halloween seasons as a kid.
And I think this one is one of those books that is directed at a younger audience but can be read by all people. This is one that I'm super excited to read with our future kids because the name actually comes from how you think of The Jungle Book, which is a child raised among the animals of the jungle. This is a child raised among the ghosts of a cemetery, all pretty friendly except for a couple ones that are a little mischievous.
And the last book I want to mention is, actually, it wasn't my favorite, but I think that a lot of people out there will like it more than I did. And the reason why I didn't like it fully, because it was a lot of spooky and not a lot of warm fuzzies. And it is Something Wicked This Way Comes. Like I said, that book is a lot of spookiness. So if that's what you like, you should give it a try.
And I think there are a lot of people out there that like it. That one is revered as a classic, and going to classic horror, I want to step a little aside from the classics of Dracula and Frankenstein to go to H.P. Lovecraft. This is one of my favorite horror authors, and the way that he does horror is so unlike any other. Honestly, I'm still looking for a book that really scares me, so if you have one, drop it in the comments. But the way that he does things is that he makes it very surreal, and all of his books or stories revolve around a descent into madness. And so the way that he describes creatures is never super concrete, but it is just an awesome mystery and crazy story all throughout his works. And so if you've heard of Call of Cthulhu, that is likely his biggest one. Another one that I highly suggest that is also a good starting point is A Shadow over Innsmouth, when a man discovers that there is a neighboring town with people that are said to be very fish-like, and it is a perfect entry there. A little more meaty than some of his other shorter stories, but it is so good. And to conclude this video, we've got to go out with an awesome epic fantasy story. If you've heard of The Justice of Kings or the Empire of the Wolf trilogy, this is perfect for fans that want a little bit of horror mixed in with their epic fantasy. This is written by Richard Swan, and it follows detectives trying to solve a murder through necromancy. And the way that they use this is just so great. And the story goes into 3 books, with the 3rd book being a full-on medieval horror novel with so much epic fantasy there. Really loved it, and I'm sure a lot of you out there have read it. If you haven't, definitely check it out.
Well, here are some Halloween favorites of ours for you. If you like softer ones, check out mine. If you like epic fantasy, check out Caden's suggestions.
Okay, and as we mentioned, we like doing a Halloween themed book every year. So we want to give the chance for our audience to select our read for this Halloween season. Go ahead in the comments and tell us your favorite Halloween season book to be considered for our choice of our little book club this year.
And I would especially like to hear if any of you know any Halloween romantasy, because I'm surprised. I don't think I've ever read any spooky romantasy. And I want to give it a try so that next year I can share more romantasy selections. So yeah, please leave comments with your suggestions. And thank you for watching.